And at this time, we'll start with an update.
Thank you, Commissioner. Eric Martin, County Manager, Incident Commander for the COVID-19 response, at least for one more day. What you have in front of you that I provided was a condensed version, a sort of organized version of some of the recommendations that I gave to you yesterday that came out of that meeting that I described between myself, John Aplenop, Dr. Wood, and JP Anderson. And so Ed Mund, our great PIO, has taken these and kind of condensed them into categories that Dr. Wood identified as sort of overarching things. So because I didn't bring enough copies for everybody, I'll go ahead and read them. It'll take me a minute or two, but I think they're really good and worthwhile. So we kind of broke this into 6 categories, and I think we're going to try to actually frame this in a way that's a little more public consumable. But for right now, I'll just go through them. So number 1 are non-pharmaceutical interventions. We've also referred to those as NPIs, and they're things you can do to take care of yourself and stay safe. So wash your hands often for 20 seconds each time. Stop touching your face, mouth, nose, and eyes. Stay home if you're sick, isolated away from others in the house, and stay away from other people who may be sick, and clean hard, touch surfaces often. High touch surfaces often, excuse me. It is possible to, number 2, it is possible to spread the disease before you even know you're ill. Avoid groups of 10 or more if possible. You have no way of knowing if someone else is carrying the disease, even though they might look perfectly healthy. Now, I actually had a very in-depth conversation with Dr. Wood about this one in particular, because I think we were getting some comments online about these meetings.
Right.
And she specifically told me that use this room because it's large and maintain your social distancing, and you're okay to have more than 10 people in this room. Just stay spread out. Keep your hands clean, wipe down the surfaces, which everybody's been doing a really good job in here of. So I think we're okay for now with a meeting like this, even though obviously I think we got a few more than 10 people in here. This point 2 of 2, this virus has up to a 14-day incubation period, and that means you could be carrying the virus and spreading it to others for up to 2 weeks before you have any symptoms. Point number 3, laboratory testing for COVID-19 remains limited. A, testing capacity for the virus is very limited right now, but testing isn't necessarily what you need if you get sick. B, testing will not protect you or others and may even create more exposure if you have to go to the doctor's office or the hospital to get tested. C, getting tested also puts a strain on medical resources, masks, gowns, gloves, etc., that are desperately needed not only to fight COVID-19, but for all other medical needs that haven't gone away because of this. D, if you feel sick, isolate yourself as best you can from others and focus on getting better. If you feel you need to, call your doctor and follow their advice. That may include testing, but again, testing isn't necessarily the answer if you're a normal, healthy individual and you can fight this thing on your own. Number 4, vulnerable people need to take care of themselves and ask for help. Senior citizens or other medically vulnerable individuals should pay special attention to all these recommendations and take special care to avoid risks. If you are a senior citizen or are medically vulnerable, please ask for help if you think you need it. Reach out to family, friends, and neighbors to avoid unnecessary exposure. Likewise, if you are not in a high-risk group, reach out to your family and friends who may be in a high risk and see if there is something they need, because we all need to help each other and support each other right now. Number 5, thanks to all working so hard and for so long. Please be aware that those working on this issue are a very dedicated, hard-working group of healthcare providers. Our first responders remain on the job, keeping our communities safe. Please be patient and kind. They deserve your thanks and appreciation. And number 6, reach out to help each other. We understand the situation is very disrupting to our normal daily lives. Please think about those in our business community who are also struggling, small business owners and employees, restaurateurs, grocery workers, and all those working to keep communities supplied with all the things we need to live a normal life deserve our thanks and respect. C, the responsibility to stop the spread rests with each of us individual through these measures. D, our motto has become, the bug stops here, Lewis County. So obviously that was repetitive from some of the things I said yesterday, but for me, they are worth repeating. So
Okay.
this is our messaging right now.
Mhm.
And
Did
so
we
if
get-
people ask you questions, these are your answers.
So I will be traveling east tomorrow. So is there a way that we could get some of these copies in my hands before the end of the business day so I could take some and
Absolutely.
pass them out to some of the businesses along the way?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll see if Ed's got this prepared in a way that's got, letterhead and things like that on it.
Okay.
And if not, we'll get you at least copies of this
Yeah.
that you can hand out for text. So,
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
by way of an additional update, again, we've been having our meetings, our incident management team meetings every morning. Those have been going really great. Everybody brings great information. It's pretty routine. I don't know there's anything exciting that's happening right now. But I'll let everybody kind of talk a little bit about what they're doing and update you from yesterday. Again, I don't know that we have any, big announcements from yesterday, but I'll let people go head around and do that. I do want to point out something that happened today that I want the board to be aware of, that I take full responsibility for, which was we put out a press release which was a little bit inaccurate, and it talked about a resolution which you have not passed yet.
Right.
And we
right.
tried to pull that back as quick as we could. That's my fault. Ed had sent it to me for review. I skimmed it real fast, too fast. So I'm going to slow down. Ed and I are going to talk about how we can communicate better, but I'm going to take full responsibility for that. I think the press release that's out now is better, and we'll even continue to improve on that based on what decisions the board makes here at this meeting today. So, and I understand comments from Commissioner Fund that you've made that we want to emphasize the continuation of services in those press releases, and we'll
Yes,
make that a
yes.
point of emphasis closer to the top of the information, because I think you're right, that is really, really important, and we want to emphasize how people can continue to get our services, even though we may have some, and and may have some additional closures of buildings to the public. So
I did get some calls on the press release for questions, and I said, we're working hard to get things right, so.
yeah, my apologies
Thank
on
you.
that, and we're gonna have better ones going
Yes.
forward. We're like I think Becky put it best, we're building the airplane as we fly it here.
Yes.
So, but I appreciate the board's understanding of that, and we'll
Yes.
try to get more accurate information out.
We need to give
From here
people
on out.
grace during this time.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'll go to Andy next if you want. Andy?
Sure. So a couple things, commissioners. We're working with the PA's office with Amber specifically on getting an MOU drafted between us and Twin Transit to activate the transportation plan within the Lewis County CEMP, or the emergency management plan, the comprehensive emergency management plan. So hopefully we'll have that done shortly so we can get that over to them so they can go about their business. Secondly, we hit on it yesterday briefly. I did get an opportunity to work with Matt, and please forgive me that I'm not going to say his last name.
Matayoshi?
There we go.
Yes.
So we're going to be working on how to best approach the business community. There were some, I think, really good ideas thrown out today. So our goal is going to be that we're going to put out a press release tomorrow. And that press release is going to be specifically for the businesses to kind of get them in the mindset that we're going to start trying to approach them, and approach them with two goals in mind. One goal, to communicate to them recovery options. So we want to make sure that every time we get an update on an option available to our business partners in the community, that they know about that and they can take advantage of it as quick as possible. And we also want to help communicate to them that the feedback they're able to give us through our communication with them can also help our elected officials make informed decisions about how to move forward. And so we'll do our initial reach out probably on Monday is the plan right now. And then just given how quick everything has unfolded, we'll probably do that again in another week, and we'll see how large of a sampling we get back. So hopefully we can get the most accurate information, or at least a sampling of information that we can provide to the board so you can get an accurate picture of what's happening in the business community.
So Governor Inslee had a press conference at 3, and someone shared that there's an order waiving the 1-week wait period for people signing up for unemployment, and that he will release as much as 5 million from a reserve fund in order to get micro grants to small businesses. So, and there's more to it, but that was kind of the business piece of
And,
what.
and that's what we want to communicate to them as quick as possible. So if they
Mhm.
weren't watching today at 3, they could
Good.
pick up that information.
Yes.
So that's a goal, and we're just going to try to get that pushed out by Monday, but also kind of ease them into it. Matt pointed out that a lot of businesses right now are still kind of in shock.
Yeah.
So it might be better to give them a little bit of time to digest this. So we'll work hand in hand with them, and
Thank
we'll
you.
get this done right.
That's really a good move. And Ruth Peterson from Senator Braun's office was having similar ideas and what you guys had, and I gave her your phone number. And it's nice when they're thinking about something in the legislature that we're doing, so thank you.
And that's all I have, unless there's any other questions.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Andy.
Becky, you want to brief the board? Thanks.
So we continue to work with offices and departments and collaboration with DEM and the information that they're putting out. We hit a little bumps in the road with project accounting, but we've worked those out through payroll, so we're on track. We're going to start a staffing log, a daily staffing log, so we'll be sending that out probably this afternoon or tomorrow. That will require every office to basically tell us what their staffing levels are on a daily basis compared to what is normal for them. Working with Robin Celine, I'm not sure how to say her last name correctly. She's the FEMA applicant agent for the county, and she set up the online portal. She's been working with her FEMA representatives and continues to feed us information on new information as it comes out, so we know what will be reimbursed or potentially reimbursed by county or by FEMA. The one that we keep, Andy and I both are on the same page with that, is that offices and departments, those responding need to be sure that these items will be reimbursed or where the funds are coming from when making those decisions. So we continue to be cautious about just assuming that funding will be coming because it's distributed to several different areas. So lots to come on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're just going around the table.
Sure, go ahead, John, if you want.
So just an update. I am anticipating that within the next 24 hours, we'll receive an order from the state Supreme Court. The Washington Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers submitted a proposed order yesterday. The Prosecutors Association submitted a proposed order this morning. Amber was on that call. The two sides came together, worked out an agreed order, and it has been submitted to the state Supreme Court for their consideration. So I anticipate something in the very near future. But in essence, court will be shut down if it's entered. Court will be shut down except for new in-custody matters and emergency matters until the 24th. Is that right, Amber? Until the 24th of April, if the order is entered. And again, I anticipate that it will be. We continue to make adjustments over at the courthouse. The latest is that starting tomorrow, there will be no in-custody transportation of inmates. It will all be done via court call, which is video conferencing in essence from the jail. That way, the only folks that are having contact with inmates would be jail staff as well as their defense attorney. That will help avoid any close contact. We've had attorneys appearing by phone. We've been doing hearings by Skype. So we've been doing what we can to minimize the contact over there. I've talked to two other elected officials, one from my building, one from this building, who are looking at alternative staffing just to try to keep the distancing situation to the best possible ratio. We're doing it. We're kind of doing a lot of running around, making sure that we make it to all the meetings to get everything covered, but it is working. So it's just, I was talking with one of the judges earlier today. It's refreshing to see how everybody is kind of, we still have our roles that we play within the system, and we still have those roles, but we're also working together to make sure that everybody gets their day in court and gets protected. At the same time, we're getting hearings rescheduled, and if you are out of custody, your hearing is going to get rescheduled. And that's just kind of the way that it's working right now. We've asked law enforcement to, the mandatory arrests are still mandatory arrests, but if you're going to refer charges, let the court pick as to when that court date is going to be. So it's been an interesting adjustment, and we will continue. We'll be interested to see what the rule is tomorrow that comes out.
Steve, you got something?
Sure, yeah. So, internal and external services, we're continuing to modify how we offer our services and do so to keep business running and keep people safe at the same time. Right now, we are testing Zoom product, and that will allow us to do better video conferencing for the public so they can access our meetings. And it's got better video, better audio than what we've been able to offer in the past. Additionally, we are testing phone bridging, which will allow for the virtual sign-up of comments and questions if
Oh,
appropriate
wonderful.
for certain meetings. So that'll just give us more flexibility as this thing unfolds. My role as chief of logistics for this incident kind of has me feeling a little bit some gratitude right now for what facilities has been doing, and HR and IT and all the other departments. And I just wanted to say thank you to everybody and have this opportunity, and all the electeds and department heads working together. Yeah, it's kind of humbling, and I think a proud day to be an employee in Lewis County. So.
Yeah, that's a great reminder, Steve. I sometimes get so busy and forget to say thank you to everybody who's working so hard around us. And I got some words of encouragement from some of our staff yesterday, and I was pretty moved by that. So thank you to everyone who's helped me and helped the board and helped the county to work through this thing. So
Yeah. and-
Steve, I want to thank you for just getting the mail straightened out. Mail situation, internal mail, that's going to be huge for our department. So thank you for all your work on that.
And same thing, I was texting Steve last night at, I think, 9 o'clock, saying, hey, I'm having this issue. And then all of a sudden I have people from IT texting me and everything else. So kudos. I know that Steve and Eric and Becky and Andy and everybody up here kind of gets the kudos, but truly to the people that are actually doing the work, I mean, it's impressive. I'm proud to be part of this team, so.
I think Candace did a lot of work in setting up some of the meeting connections for the computers, and Reva notes. I mean, everybody's just pulling it, so.
I know
thank you.
there's so many unsung heroes. We get to sit up here and take credit, but like you say, people like Candy and Reva and Lara and Janelle and I shouldn't have started naming names.
No, we shouldn't have.
You
no.
know who
We-
you
No.
are.
you know who you
No.
are.
Anyway, it's good.
Okay, yes, thank you.
So,
Go ahead there.
so if the board is ready, if you don't have anything else right now, we can work on these two versions of a resolution that you have in front of you. And I'm going to try to guide
I
you through
think I
this.
have 3.
You got 3?
Yeah.
I only got 2.
Okay.
You got the original plus the 2 new ones?
Yes, I guess so.
Okay.
That's it.
So let's focus on the 2 new ones that have the highlighted sections. So I'm going to try to walk you through this from a procedural standpoint, and Amber's going to back me up here if I mess this up. But I think what the recommendation right now is that you amend your agenda first to include Resolution 20-101 for deliberation.
I make a motion to amend our agenda to consider resolution 20-0101.
Second.
Okay, a motion has been made and seconded to amend our agenda for resolution 20-101, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. And so then next, I think someone should, if you want to, motion to approve the agenda because they both have the same number, and then you can deliberate over which version you like better.
Can't we just make a motion to recommend the one we like? And then have a discussion?
Sure. I
I
guess.
believe we also can change the wording.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we
Oh,
can.
sure. Yeah.
So maybe the motion is just to to approve the resolution, and then we can talk about what it says and pick
Which
the one-
version we're going to
pick-
say
pick
is
the
our.
Pick the version that you want.
Okay. I move that we approve resolutions 20-101.
Are we just approving it and then discussing which version?
So, yeah,
That's
once
what I
there's a,
heard.
once there's a motion and a second, then you can have
Have a
discussion. and-
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll second that.
Okay, okay. The motion has been made and second to approve 20-101. And we'll now have some discussion on it.
So this motion, in some form or fashion, was presented to you yesterday. We've made some revisions to it. I think the first one that I want to point out that's really important is the first whereas now on this version that's in front of you highlights Lewis County's commitment to sustaining the highest possible level of services for citizens while keeping the public and county employees safe during the COVID-19 event. And that's a great addition to this resolution, and I'm glad
Yes.
that that's there.
Yes.
So I wanted to make sure that you saw that.
I like that. Very
yes.
good.
And you're right, Commissioner Fund, I also have 3 versions here. I didn't realize I had 3. So do all of yours have some written text on the front of them?
Yes.
On the very front?
Yes.
So that's how I'll refer to the one I'm talking about, each one. So the first
Sure.
one says full closure on the front. And so I'll just read the highlighted section of each one of these, and then you can have your discussion. So the one that says full closures, the number 1 says all county facilities and buildings will be closed to the public, to public access, with access available only to county employees, with the exception of the Lewis County Law and Justice Center, the Juvenile Court Building, and the Coroner's Office, which will have limited access to the public. I believe this is the one that was present yesterday. Okay?
Yes.
The next one I'm going to read from says cancel biz meetings on it, and that one has the number 1 the same. Number 2 is inserted, which says the BOCC will cancel its legislative meetings, in parentheses, the BOCC business meeting, quote, planned for March 23rd and March 30th, 2020.
So is this the second one?
Yes.
Second one, okay, okay.
Do you want me to keep going, or do you want to talk about those 2? You want me to read the third
No.
one as well?
Yes.
I think that we can probably talk about these 2.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, I'll save that one in case we want to get to it.
Well, I like number 2. And I like that we've got a lot of things going on our plate, and it'd be nice to have those meetings canceled. And if we have anything that would be, move it to the regular 4 o'clock meeting with proper 24 hours notice that we would have to do something. I think there was an email sent out to folks who have potential agendas for these business meetings, whether there was anything that was so essential that we needed to have it. And I don't know if any response to that at this point.
I can speak to that.
Yep.
We had one response that could be taken care of during a 4 o'clock meeting under the COVID-19. The rest can hold until the cancellations are complete, until that following week.
So the advice, I think, of the PA's office was that if we had anything specific that we knew about that you were going to be taking action on, that we just add that to the agenda as soon as possible, hopefully, with 24 hours notice.
So we have already, as of directors meeting today, approved an agenda for Monday. And so we would have to make an adjustment, I would assume, to the 4 o'clock meeting for that agenda that's already been approved.
Yes.
I don't believe
Well-
you'd have to, you just don't have the meeting.
Right, I would
So-
send notice that you're not having that meeting.
We haven't
So-
published notice that we're having
Oh,
it.
okay.
So well, you understand my question, though. We've approved some items to be moved over. So do we just hold those for 2
Correct.
weeks? Okay, okay.
So nothing about this precludes you from calling a special meeting,
Right.
which you can always do. And also nothing precludes you, if circumstances were to change and you needed to take some drastic immediate action under the emergency declaration, It would probably have to be something that's very needed very immediately, and it would need to be something that was significant. But you have that option, I think, and I don't know, Amber, if you want to speak to that. I just wanted to say that there's other options for you
Right.
going
Right.
forward.
Very quickly, though, anything that we approved this morning, is any of that critical moving forward, or can everything be held?
Yes.
Yes.
I think Reba noted one thing, but it was related to COVID-19. And so
Okay.
we will put that on a 4 o'clock meeting for some subsequent meeting, maybe Friday, maybe Monday, some other time.
Mhm.
And we'll make sure we get that on the agenda 24 hours out and notice that.
Yes, and just to follow up on what Eric had just stated, if there were to be something that needed action immediately on that's in relation to an emergency that would allow us to not go through the proper notice channels of the 24 hours that we normally do when we set up agendas and we set up meetings, that you would have that opportunity to still call a special emergency meeting if needed. But again, that's going to be an emergency as part of potentially COVID-19, or if there were anything else that were considered an emergency that would suspend that notice requirement, you could call a meeting with less than 24-hour notice. But if you're going to have items that could make it to the 4 o'clock meeting, if it's a COVID-19 related item and it's been on the agenda, or it could be placed on the agenda, you should have notice at least 24 hours in advance of that.
Thank you.
Can I make one suggestion? Sorry, it just dawned on me as you were reading it. The part that talks about the Law and Justice Center and the coroner's office will have limited availability. If we could just add something in there that says this may change by separate order or something, because I don't want the public coming, if something happens tomorrow at the courts and they decide to close, I don't want the BOCC to get yelled at because it's out of their control.
So number 3, Jonathan says, the providing judges may make independent decisions concerning the operations of the Law and Justice Center and the juvenile court building. Do you want something more than that?
Nope, that's fine, but you might
Okay.
want to mention something. I don't know. I haven't had a chance to talk with Coroner McLeod. I don't know if there's something he would want to change, but yeah,
Oh.
that's good.
Yeah, actually, okay, sure.
We have the other version up now too that might.
Can we make a minor change on item 3, Riva, to say something to the effect of the presiding judges may make independent decisions and the coroner may make independent decisions about the coroner's office?
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Thanks for the catch.
I'm looking at the cancel biz meeting version, which I think is the one that was that the one the board was
Yes.
It's the one we're
had
discussing.
preliminarily said was your favorite?
Yeah.
Let me know when you're ready. I can repeat that.
If I can have Candy close out of it. Thank you. Okay. So are we adding language, the presiding judges and the coroner may make,
I think it'd be best if we just leave it as it is, but instead of a period at the end, we use a comma or semicolon, whichever one's right, because you know and I don't. And say, and the coroner would make independent decisions concerning the operations of the coroner's office.
Got it.
So all we're doing there for the boards, if you're tracking with me, is being consistent with item number 1, where we're adding the coroner's ability to do what he needs to do into item 3, where we left him out, so. And I don't think I described what exactly this was doing very well, because we've all been working on this so much. I think the 4 of us and probably some of the people at the table here know. So I want to back up for just 1 second and understand that what we're doing here, it says now therefore be it resolved by the BOCC that the following policies related to county facilities shall take effect at 5 PM, March 18th, 2020, which is basically closing the courthouse and buildings, county buildings to public access, but with the maintenance of a high level of service to the public. In fact, most services will be available to the public. And, you know, through our websites, which is listed on here, I believe. Yes, in the third whereas, through that website, which is lewiscountywa.gov/homeservices /, you can find out how to access all those services for any office or department that you might need them from.
Okay. One thing here, obviously, we're talking about parentheses two, or number 2 item there, and that there's going to be 2 meetings, 2 BOCC meetings that are already been planned will be canceled. And if you really look at the calendar, that's 6 business days, so it's not a lot. And at that time, and I know part of the discussion was that because we had a very light agenda this morning, and we had a chance to talk to staff a little bit, and we still, and I know that IT is working on some opportunities there, and I think we're still working on which meetings to be able to do the visual things on. And again, that's probably going to be a discussion for a little bit later on, so we can cement that. And again, so the public can have the best possible access. And again, after March 30th there, we'll take a look at it and see where we're at. Because we know that we're going to have to do county business at some point. There's a lot of things going on still. And so we'll take a look at that and evaluate that after the 30th. And then we can make some further discussions on that. So, and I think Eric probably said it best, the services will continue. County services will continue, and it's going to be our job, I think, to make sure that we get the word out. I know that we have it on the, on our website, but it's very, very important because we're going to deal with the phone calls, obviously, but at the same time, I want to emphasize that if we're all rowing in the same direction here, we're going to get word out. We're going to talk to our constituents, and when I say they're all our constituents, the people that work at the county, we can get that message out. And I appreciate this morning, I saw the note on the doors from the treasurer, auditor, and the assessor's office, that phone calls. As a matter of fact, I talked to a person that was trying to get in, and I instructed them to make sure they had their cell phone. I'm not sure who they were going to call, but they called someone. So that's the better that we can communicate and we get this out. And again, everyone's in a crisis. We've never had this before. This is not like the influenza. It's not like a flood. Globally, it's affecting all of us. So, and again, I got a text from Hal Blanton, who sent me a message there, and he's very supportive. He thinks the county's doing a great job, and we're going to have to continue that. We're going to have to we've elevated the bar, and I really think that we're going to probably have to elevate it a little more, but we will. I think we're all up to the challenge on that, and I appreciate all the employees, and I think it's going to be up to the directors and also the supervisors. If we have people that are unable to come to work because of underlying health issues or family situations, I think the county has prepared well for that, and I encourage that to make sure that, and we're all listening to our employees. So we don't want to overload the system, but at the same time, we also don't want to cause panic. So, and I appreciate everyone's hard work on that.
Right. We want calm, not chaos.
Yes.
Yes.
Anything else?
No.
Appreciate that we were able to, after several versions, come to consensus. And sometimes that's hard work to get to consensus, but it's worth it. So thank you for all who worked on it.
Okay, so a motion has been made and seconded to approve Resolution 20-101. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go out and buy food to go.
We've got, what's on the agenda? I think we've got some people that I would like to,
Oh, yeah.
Joe,
Joe?
we need to move that podium over there. See on, make sure he's on camera.
Thank you, thank you. Just a brief update. Was on the phone this morning with United Way and the senior center. Senior center prepared 800 meals last night. They were there
Wow.
till 8 o'clock. We delivered a portion of those meals today, so we've begun to work within the Twin Cities. That will expand out to the surrounding county areas as early as next week. We're waiting for some guidance from Glenda at the senior center and Debbie Campbell at United Way. We are also communicating with the school districts tomorrow to see what they may have available in terms of resources. Andy alluded to the MOU. That would allow us to potentially go by and pick up any unused meals that they've prepared for students and families to
Oh.
pick up, to deliver to those that may be without in our community as well. And we'll keep you posted on that as that moves along. I did hear from someone today that Onalaska is doing some of this already.
Yes.
So
Awesome.
I think there is a good start that we can build on in that regard. We have lined up our group with the county's group. Eric and I had a chance to speak today to ensure that we are pointing all resources toward the county website. So I'm constantly in communication with Eric. Aaron's working with Andy. Andrea's working with Ed. So we make sure that those pieces of information that can be consumed by everybody and beneficial to everybody are delivered through lewiscountywa.gov. And I think that's crucial. And as Steve said earlier, I applaud the county and the effort that the employees and the commissioners and you are doing. It really does demonstrate we can get this done, and we can do this in a very effective fashion. We continue to look at supporting the effort in the East County and making sure that there are transit services available. We've been talking with that group of people out there. We've built routes, and we will be implementing some version of that Friday morning. As I shared with Eric today, I will send over that information. We will have that available at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And then we will, as early as next week, begin demand response for those folks in the other areas of the county, Toledo, Winlock, Nampa, Vine, PL, that may need to get to medical appointments, prescription pickups, or need, life essentials, go to the grocery store and those kinds of things, and servicing those. So really just trying to coordinate with the county as best we can so that we can communicate and deliver these services in the most effective and efficient way. I will say all of the community service organizations and the nonprofits that we're working with are so appreciative of the coordination around this effort and maximizing this opportunity to serve our community. So that's all I have, unless someone has some questions.
So 800 meals.
800 meals. Glenda was a little bit shaky on the conference call this morning. I think the one thing she was concerned about is they're doing a 3-compartment tray for the delivery of the meals. She had to send one of her staff to Portland because with all the restaurants going to the to-go meal,
Right.
they're buying up the containers. So,
Yeah.
you get over here and something happens over there. So we told her that we could help with that and go get supplies for her and stuff like that if she needed. And then again, just trying to coordinate with her and the school districts to see if we could do some commodity purchasing. Her concern is she runs out of resources, obviously, and so we're trying to help support her in that effort.
Thank you for all that you're doing. Thank you.
Well,
So Joe, you also had a conversation with Mountain Transit?
I
and
did.
We want to share, would you like to share that?
Well, I think that there may have been a little bit of miscommunication. I'm not sure on which end, ours or
Yep.
theirs, about this effort. But our intention is to start 6:30 at Walmart and go eastbound and then run that route for 12 hours each and every day. We think we can make somewhere in the neighborhood of 5 loops doing that. And there was just some miscommunication about whether we were running his routes or our routes. And we explained to him that this was an effort to provide services so that nobody would be isolated. And in our estimation, this was the best way to go about that. I think he agreed to that after the conversation. We're waiting for further comment from him in the morning. But one way or another, there'll be buses rolling to East County on Friday.
And they will not be serving though for transporting for 2 weeks, is that correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay. Okay,
And I think that we're helping him to understand what our role is as the PTBA. We are authorized, as Andy said, under the EMS plan to support Eric and the sheriff should we go to the next level of activation. That would be our role, and that would include some involvement with Yellow Bus as well. So we're just starting to put those contingencies in place and communicate with Andy and his team about that. But we stand ready to do that if necessary. And I think that was helpful for the folks at Mountain Transit to understand our role. We're just trying to provide a service, and if they come back online in 2 weeks, we will step back and certainly let them provide that service going forward.
okay. Anything else?
I'm
of
sure,
things,
I'm
but
sure
you'll think
there's
of
some
them
stuff I'm
tomorrow.
forgetting, but for now, I think that's adequate. But thank you again.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Joe. And Joe, one more thing. Can I talk to you after we adjourn the meeting? And Andy, I've got some information from Morton Hospital that I want to share with you. So,
I'd like to add a piece of information I received.
okay, this is the place.
Yes, yesterday I received a call from Janice Gross, who is with the Packwood Visitor Center and the museum. And they're concerned because of lodging tax dollars that they've received, that there's not a lot of tourists coming up there, obviously. And spring break's coming up and doesn't seem like there's a lot of folks who are making reservations. And the visitor center, I think, had one person come in last weekend. So they are considering closing that visitor center and just putting their phone number on the door so people can call. And they also are considering canceling the mountain festival. So this situation is really impacting our folks who are used to tourism dollars and using those tourism dollars to help promote our county. So it's a different world out there for them too.
So Becky, you probably talked to Commissioner Fund about it also, as far as getting the word out to some of the people that are receiving those LTAC dollars.
So Tammy is working on drafting a memo, and I think she's provided that to Commissioner Fund as the
Mhm.
chair. We're going to send that to the LTAC committee for review first. It's basically asking the LTAC recipients if they're not going to have any of their festivals, what are they planning? And those funds will roll back to the tourism fund, so we'll be able to use those funds to promote next year. I'm guessing we'll need it. So
Yes,
it will
yes.
go towards those projects. It may be delayed though. So we're just in
Right.
communication with them about how they're going to spend that money.
Yes.
Okay. And you're going to get communication to them as far as the emails and whatever how you're going to communicate with
Yeah,
them.
we're going to send a letter to them,
Okay,
supporting them and asking them what they need. And if this year isn't planned, then they can use the funds next year as that goes through the LTAC committee.
just one more thing I have is I talked to one of the hospital commissioners today, and they had indicated, and I've got some other information for Andy, but I thought maybe this is the norm. They had received 200 test kits for the virus. So I don't know. I'm just sharing that with you. And that's why I want you, and I'll talk to you afterwards and they are planning on doing a what do you call it? A drive-through?
Drive-through.
A drive-through. So
The drive up, yes.
anyway. Okay. Commissioner Jackson?
Just very quickly, I spent some time this afternoon contacting a number of our cities, especially in my district, I went to the PL Town Council last night and just to touch base with them to find out where they were. They passed the emergency declaration last night, and they are also closing the doors to City Hall, or to Town Hall in PL's case. And they're still working. Contacted Winlock this morning, spoke to the folks at City Hall there. The same thing. Talked to Mayor Sean O'Neill from Napavine. They are meeting this afternoon. In fact, in about 10 minutes, they're going to meet to pass the resolution. Then they're going to close the doors to City Hall. And then spoke to Mayor Steve Dobosh in Toledo as well, and they're already there. They've shut down a number of the facilities in Toledo. So everyone is doing what they need to. They are, doing everything they can to protect the public, protect their employees. And I applaud all of our communities for doing that. This has been a tough decision across the board for everybody, because the wheels of government have to keep turning. There's no doubt about it. We have to keep working, and we have to keep doing everything we can to provide the best services we can. And at the same time, recognize that the safety of our citizens and our employees is paramount, and we need to do what we need to do so we can see to it that that happens. So I just thought I'd share that for a moment, but the cities are hunkering down as well as the county. The one word that I'm hearing among all of the folks out there is, we're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. We're Lewis County, and that's what we do. And so we're going to be fine, and I'm looking forward to when we can have conversations about coming out of this situation. So that's all I've got.
And I know cities are very appreciative of Andy and your conference call. Is it 2 days out of the week that you talk with the folks in the cities and the towns?
So we're going to try right now scheduling them every Friday.
Okay.
However, as the need arises, we'll hold them in between also.
I've heard your name mentioned a number of times about how good that is, that they can have somebody to talk to like that. Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
No further business. I move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, a motion made and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passed. Thank you.